Welcome to a closer look at DFW businesses. I'm your host, Robin H. Menace, and today we're going to take a closer look at Moms Actually. Our guests today are, oh, I forgot to ask you for your last name, Blair, pronounce your,
Gyamfi.
okay,
Blair Gyamfi. My husband's from Ghana.
okay, and Morgan Taylor and Sopha Rush. And Sopha Rush can't be with us on video today. So, but take my word for it, she's beautiful, just like the other two ladies.
Thank you.
So anyway, welcome ladies. I'm so glad to have you here today.
We're glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Hello.
So tell me, what is Moms Actually?
I'm going to let Morgan go. So Moms Actually is a visual podcast. It's a talk show that we created this year to normalize normal conversations between moms, between women. We noticed that a lot of time, especially on social media, that conversations were really high level, or mothering looked a certain way. It looked really easy and it looked really beautiful. And so when people would come into parenthood, they felt like it was a whirlwind. It was everything that they did not expect, everything that happens in between the pictures. So we wanted to create a platform to have honest, safe, candid, transparent conversations. And that's how Moms Actually was born.
Okay, and Morgan and Blair, you founded the show and launched it in May. And who came up with the concept?
It was honestly a collaborative idea. So we met actually in March. And so we love to tell the story because it is pretty insane. We met in March of this year and we found each other at a women's conference. And we sat on the same row and we both had our own mom platforms previously. And so we both were kind of like in our hearts, kind of like going back and forth with the idea, or felt the tug of just doing something more when it came to motherhood and creating a platform just for other women around the world. And so when we found each other, we kind of just both were instantly like, oh my gosh, you want to do this too? Great. And so we talked about it. And as soon as we pretty much decided that we both wanted to come together to do this, it was pretty much like we took off like a rocket. We thought about having another person because we are all about collaboration. You know, our statement, we say where motherhood meets sisterhood. And so we thought, like, who's going to be our third girl? And so I was like, Sopha would be amazing. And so we reached out to her. We met her in April. And I think maybe 2 weeks later is when we shot the entire first season. And it has literally been incredible, to say the least. And so we're just excited that everyone has really taken our idea as far as, you know, what we had in our hearts and received it so well.
Yeah.
So what is your overall goal in the long run for the show?
We say this all the time. We want to impact people. Yes, we want to, you know, continue to be on networks and continue to be able to see, have other people see us and be on, you know, the larger platforms and all of those things. But with that comes impact. With that comes a woman who thought maybe she was crazy and thought she was the only person that was going through something, and then recognizes that she's not. She recognizes that some of the things that she may have been taught, or maybe that she grew up seeing from her mother or her mother's mother, are maybe not the best way to go. And so to be able to have someone where they could feel seen, feel heard, and empowered, and really, really like pretty much shift what motherhood looks like in society in general is what our goal is.
Okay, and I know you've heard that the name is interesting. It's definitely it captures the attention. Who came up with the name? How'd you agree on it?
So Morgan and I came up with it together. It was a long few days because the thing about coming up with a name for something, it's not so simple, especially in the motherhood space. All the names are taken. And yes, you can create a name that's being used, but when it comes to IP and trademarking and all that stuff, you don't want to deal with all that. So we tried all the names, even bad names, and and they were all taken. And then we thought of like, I'm not sure, well, you probably have seen the movie Love Actually. And to do a play off of that and call it Moms Actually, because we are actually more than moms. We are women, we are sisters, we are lovers, we are friends. There's just so much to what a mom actually is, what a mom actually does. And so we wanted to play off of that term.
Okay. And Sopa, I know you ladies have had notable guests on the show. So who have you had so far?
Oh, we've had a lot. Some of our well, I'm not gonna say favorites, but some of the guests that we've had so far, we've had Tamar Braxton, we've had who else have we had, y'all? Ooh,
Erica Campbell.
Erica Campbell. Oh yeah, she was amazing. But Erica Campbell, and we also had
Tammy and Carrington Franklin,
Yeah,
yes,
Brittany
Kirk
Snell.
Franklin's wife and daughter, and they're local to Dallas.
yes,
Erica Campbell's in Dallas right now too. This season we have Cody from Black Love. We have Pastor Chelsea Smith from Church Home. We have Emily B and Taina, which are social media influencers. And we had Virginia Thornton. So we have like people
yes.
from all walks of life.
And just real quick, each of you, I'm going to ask Blair first. Which of your guests, I guess, touched your heart or could you identify with most?
I guess the one that touched my heart the most is probably Tammy and Carrington. Um, Seeing their relationship, my first child was a girl, so to like see a daughter and mother be friends, but they didn't raise their child in a way that their child doesn't respect them. It's just incredible to see like their dynamic together. Um, and then I was able to get closer to Tammy through some other endeavors afterwards. So I think like what that started in my life has really impacted me, that interview to now.
Okay. And Morgan, same question.
Oh my gosh, honestly, it's really hard to choose because when Blair just started talking, I was like, yeah, that was a really good one. And I would
Mhm,
have the same answer just to be able to
mhm,
see their relationship was so beautiful. But then I started thinking and I was like, but I really love Tamar too. And then but I really loved Erica. I honestly, it's really, really, really hard to
mhm.
choose. And the reason why is because everyone brought something different.
Yeah.
And to be totally honest, they were able to touch a different part of me. And I was able to, resonate. So I cannot choose because they really were able to touch different pieces of my story and where I have been in my life in
Mhm.
some way.
I respect that because I feel the same way. um, okay, Sofa, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yes, well, like everyone said, I also had a lot of favorites. But one particular guest that stood out to me was probably Pastor Chelsea Smith. We talked a lot about marriage and just kind of what's the beauty of being intentional with your marriage and um, just prioritizing it. And I think that's something
Mhm.
that I'm focusing on in the season of my life. And so it just resonated really well with me. And she's just so funny and down to earth. And I just love that about her.
So, are there any guests that are coming up or that you're trying to get or you're hoping to get? Just anybody?
Season 3, I'm just telling you, we are thinking about some great. Well, we've had great. I'd just say some larger guests that I think will be pretty impressive, and people get to hear from them from a side that they haven't heard from before. We're still locking everything in, so people have to tune in, keep watching us. But I'm looking forward to people getting to see the rest of the second season and the guests that we have for that as well.
So, each of you have quite a bit going on um, as host of the show and being married and having your own children. And, you bring different life journeys to the table. So I'm gonna ask Blair first. Um, you have a teenage bonus daughter and two children of your own.
Mhm.
And but after the birth of one or both of your children, you experienced postpartum anxiety. How
Mhm.
was that diagnosed, and how did you get through it?
Well, the fun part, and another reason why we need this show and why it exists, it was never diagnosed. It's like you find out kind of when you're getting out of the weeds of everything. Um, After you have a child, you go to your postpartum appointment and they give you like a 10 question true or false kind of test. And, then it's like you go on with your life. So for me, what really, I would say what diagnosed me is I read an article. By Chrissy Teigen, actually, detailing her experience with postpartum depression and how different it looked, like to her than what she thought postpartum depression looked like. And it made me look into the symptoms that I had. And that's how I even realized postpartum anxiety existed. I had no idea it existed in the world. Um, so I had to find out by myself because there is no like formal or required care for a mom after she has a child, like there is when they prepare you for the child. So once I knew that with my daughter, I set up a lot of like boundaries and processes in place for my son because I was like, I'm not going now that I know what it is, I'm not going through that again. I'm not going to go in ignorant to something I know about. So I said with my son, if it does not bring me joy, I am not doing it. And that's what I did. And that was a whole it was a much better process because I was able to speak about it. I was able to know what was happening in advance. But unfortunately, I just feel like postpartum care, even though the fourth trimester is like it is scientific, it is real. Everybody knows it's there. Doctors do, no one does anything about it. So unfortunately, a lot of us are still figuring it out ourselves, which again is why we have this show. So someone's not figuring it out by happenstance, like I happen to find out.
And what would your advice be to other mothers who are experiencing or who may experience postpartum depression or anxiety?
Talk about it. Talk about the craziest thought in your head because it's better to talk about it than actually do it. You feel like you sound crazy, but anytime I've said it, I've 9 times out of 10, I've heard a me too, or I felt like this. I've never just felt like I was on an island alone. Like it was just me. And every time I spoke about it, I felt more and more normal. And I think the problem is so many women try to keep it together and be so strong and get it done. And then eventually, you know, I mean, even without a baby, you're gonna crack if that's the way you try to get everything done. So imagine trying to keep it together with a child or multiple kids and you're not like prepared for that in any way. So I just think speak about it. It might sound crazy. You're afraid about how people will react to you. But at the end of the day, more people than you know will relate to you. More people than you know will hold you up. And I think every my sister-in-law loves to say free people. And every time you say something that's honest, you're freeing somebody else. So um yeah, just take that uncomfortable first step to say it.
Yeah, and I agree 100%.
Mhm.
As a mother who has raised a teenage son, I made a statement to a friend of mine, which I'd never made out loud before, telling her how I thought I was going to have to kill him. And a lot of people, I expected them to be like, "Oh no, okay," and she's just like, "Oh, how old was yours when you were thinking that?" She was
Like
thinking the same thing.
exactly. You just had to say it and it just like you feel so much lighter afterwards. It's just like, whew, okay. Because now you can get to the next whatever you have to do next. But
Mhm.
it's kind of like having an argument with someone in your head before you actually say anything. Like until you actually say it, you're just thinking all the reasons like why you feel like you feel, and it just builds up. And you can't get to the next stage of whatever it's supposed to be until you actually get it out, whether that's journaling or talking or what have you. So I'm glad you got to say that and get that off your chest.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad about it anymore.
Exactly. I would have just been like, "How are you gonna do it?" Like,
Okay, so Morgan, you're a mother of three.
Mm.
And you became a mother early in life. You were 19 years old. So how
Yeah.
did you navigate that?
Oh, so yes, I became pregnant at 19. I had my daughter at 20 years old. And honestly, like it's one of those things. I mean, I always say you can never be prepared for motherhood. Like, even if you're planning pregnancy, even if you're planning everything, you got everything situated, you're still not prepared. And so I was kind of pretty much just thrown into it. And I did the best I could. I was appreciative of my support system, my mother, and my daughter's father, honestly, and his family. They all were very, very, very supportive. And it helped me a lot to be able to navigate what that looked like, as a parent at being so young. I think, we talk a lot about community and your village and your support system, but it can kind of make or break a situation, I would say. And because I had such a strong support system at the time, it didn't necessarily fix everything, but it absolutely helped how I was able to pretty much find myself as a mother and what that looked like at such a young age, when everyone was, going out and, experiencing life and just having a good time, and, college and things like that. I was going to school online, and, I wasn't on the yard, that, like they say. I wasn't doing all of those things. And I think about it all the time now, because it's why I am the way I am. It was very defining. I know a lot of people like to say, like, why did this have to happen to me? And I'm honestly grateful that, I was able to go through motherhood so young, because I don't believe that I would even be doing this, that I'm doing now, if I have a whole 10-year-old, so I like to say I'm like an OG, mother in the motherhood game, because of the fact that I had kids, so young, and now I'm able to kind of live my life and, you know, be able to navigate that. So I think it's just the support system, and really just being able to be present in that season, and find myself during that. And I'm still doing it, still finding myself.
So what would your advice be to young mothers who are expecting or about to find out? Um,
Yeah.
and especially if they don't have a good support system.
um, first, first things first is to tell them that they are not a failure. I think it is very, very easy to believe, so many negative things about yourself if it wasn't in the plan. Because typically, if you're a young mom, it's really not planned to start a family or start, a mother. Being a mom so young, you probably want to do some other things before that. And so the first thing I would want to say to people is, yeah, you're not failing. You didn't make a mistake, or, whatever. You're in the season that you're in right now for a reason. And if you don't have a support system, if you don't have a village, create one. And I know that that's easier said than done, but you really can. I've moved to a new area. I'm actually getting ready to move again to a new area, and I have been able to, create a community. It's been easier because I've found a lot of my community within my church. And I actually just we had that question on our platform recently, like, how do we get, how do I get connected? I don't have anybody that I can lean on like that. And to be totally honest, churches are literally waiting for you. They are there to create community. They literally want people to come and to get connected. And so they have churches are awesome to the point where they even have groups, so that you can find exactly where you are in life and where your spaces are. So I would recommend to create that community, find it. It's not necessarily going to, be right at your doorstep. Like, it's not going to fall in your lap. So you gotta have to seek it out a little bit. And we talked about this before too. It's just praying for the right people to come in your life, and discerning, who's right for you as well. But it will happen. It's definitely not something that is, far-fetched, for sure.
Okay, sounds great. SOPA. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
you're a mother and a published author. So,
Yeah.
tell us about your book and how you hope it will help other mothers, or what you hope other mothers will get from it.
Yes. So I created a devotional. I really wanted a book that could really just inspire other people and get them connected to God, to get them rooted to God, even in dark seasons, even whenever they feel like they're distant from God or they're drifting away from God. Like this devotional is a way for them to spend time just getting to know Him. And I created this devotional with every intention for those who are intentional about doing this devotional to feel God's presence while they're doing this, and then to have it rooted into their hearts and rooted into their life and their everyday life. And so for a mom, this devotional I think is very encouraging because I wrote this devotional in a dark season of my life, and so sometimes in motherhood it can feel lonely, it can feel like you are doing it by yourself, it can feel like there's just times where you just want someone to talk to, and I think sometimes we just forget that God is present always. And so this devotional is just a good way for you to like create a discipline and a habit to spend time in God's presence. And it's a very short devotional every day. You can do it in 5 minutes, you can do it 10, you can do it in an hour if you really want to spend time doing it. But it's just a way for moms or anyone really who want to just really be intentional with their relationship with the Lord. So for moms, I think it will be really, really beneficial for them to do this devotional just because it's filled with so much of God's promises, His truths. When our minds start to doubt us and make us think otherwise, it's just filled with so much wisdom and lots of scripture. It's definitely scripture based, which is beautiful. And yeah,
Okay, and what is the name of the book?
it's called 100 Days of Living Deeply Rooted.
Okay, and so do you have like a podcast or something called Deeply Rooted?
I don't have a podcast.
Oh, okay,
I just have a platform. I do have a blog that I started.
a blog. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's okay. But yeah, so I just started a brand and kind of grew unintentionally.
Well, when you're following God's plan,
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
what we planned, it takes a different turn.
Mhm.
Okay, so what shows or what is the next show coming up for you ladies, and when is it?
So we actually are in our second season right now.
Mhm.
We actually launched last week. And so our second episode premiered yesterday. So every single Thursday for the next 6 weeks, you can pretty much expect an episode from
Mhm.
us. It's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we also go live. So we do an after show on Thursday nights just to unpack the episode a little bit more and be able to chat live with our audience, answer questions live and things like that. It's been really great to be able to connect with people. It's just so awesome to see because moms really have the opportunity to say, "Oh my gosh, I watched the episode today, and when you said this, it made me think of this." And they are able to answer more, ask more questions, and it's just really cool to be able to connect with them. So every Thursday at 12 p.m., you can expect an episode from us.
And how can we watch you?
You can watch us on the Moms Actually YouTube channel. We are also on all of the podcast platforms. So whether it's Spotify, Apple, etc., we are on there. Just look up Moms Actually, or if you go to our Instagram page at Moms Actually in our link in bio, of course, there's all the ways to reach us.
Okay. And as a business that is out there trying to help other mothers, how can the community help you?
Mm. Support and share. It's like Morgan said at the beginning, our number one focus is impact. So every time you share, every time you even leave a comment, it doesn't have to be a long comment, but something just sharing either how it helped you or what you've gone through, another mother reads that. and it makes a difference for her. And not everybody's going to share that, but I always say for every comment, for every text, for what have you, there's hundreds of other moms that feel the same way. So again, sharing your story, even if it's on your own platform, just being honest and open. We just want the conversations that we have to be the normal conversations that moms have, not just in their deep friendship cliques, but in general, because we just think too many moms are coming into this, with an Instagram view of of motherhood. So share, comment, and just be honest in all the conversations you're having in real life, just personally.
Okay. And did you give us your website?
Momsactually.com. We try to keep it easy. Just put Moms Actually. If you're having any trouble in Google, put it in quotes, Moms Actually, and you're going to find us. We're going to pop up quick.
Okay. Sounds great. I thank you ladies so much. That is our time for today. I have enjoyed our conversation. I appreciate you ladies being here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. We
Thank
appreciate you
you.
so much.
Yes. Awesome.
So I want to thank our viewers for supporting us. This has been a closer look at Moms Actually. Don't forget to visit us at dallasexaminer.com. Download our app on your Apple or Android smartphone. Follow, like, and share us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And stay safe. Join us next month as we take a closer look at another Black-owned business in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.